So, to the aircraft that our matrix has ranked the #1 bomber of all time. A bomber that leaves all others in the shade. The best of the best. The B52 Stratofortress.
The B52G Stratofortress. Manufacturer, Boeing Military Airplane Company. Power plant, 8 Pratt & Whitney turbojets with 13,750 pounds thrust. Top speed, 595 miles per hour. Payload, 70,000 pounds. Armament, none. Range, 7,500 miles.
There have been many famous contenders for the coveted title of Best Bomber of all time, but none could match the knockout punch delivered by the mighty B-52, or Buff for short. Soon the B-52 demonstrated its usefulness when, in 1956, it dropped the first airborne hydrogen bomb over Bikini. In 1957, 3 B-52s confirmed the U.S. Air Force's global power by flying non-stop around the world. But its role as the ultimate deterrent came operating under Strategic Air Command's direct control in Operation Chrome Dome. 12 B-52s were constantly airborne, ready at a moment's notice to strike targets deep within the Soviet Union.
The Soviet Union was the initial target for the B-52, and the B-52 had to be able to fly from bases in the continental United States to targets in the Soviet Union, possibly loiter outside the borders of the Soviet Union, waiting for the order to attack, and then come home again and possibly do it again.
But the first time that the Buff was really called into action was during the Vietnam War, when B-52s dropped more than 3 million tons against North Vietnamese strongholds.
Ask any Army soldier who was in Vietnam and they'll tell you that the B-52 really represented air power to them. The B-52 was used in everything from bombing of North Vietnamese strategic sites. The B-52 was also used in close air support, in attacks sometimes only 300 yards from friendly ground troops. Army soldiers knew they could call on the B-52 for tremendously heavy firepower, targeted accurately and on call when they needed it. They learned that lesson first in Vietnam.
Over the following years, the B-52 was constantly upgraded, and when, in 1991, Operation Desert Storm began, the Buff entered the history books by delivering the first strikes directly from the USA, a total of 12,000 miles. By the late 20th century, the B-52 had been completely upgraded, and its bomb-carrying capability had become an awesome 70,000 pounds of munitions. Nearly 50 years after its birth, the Buff had reinvented itself and had become a 21st century deliverer of destruction. In 2003, during Operation Iraqi Freedom, the B-52 was the leading edge of attack against Saddam Hussein's regime.
So there's a unique fact about the B-52, and that is that today's crew members could be the children of the original crew members of the B-52. Since the newest B-52 was born in 1963, that means that anybody less than 40 years of age is going to be younger than that B-52.
The B-52 is surely one of the greatest combat aircraft of all time, remaining in frontline service for almost 6 decades, and incredibly, is due to stay there until 2045.
B-52 gives you a great return on investment. You invest in designing a plane, you pay for the airframes, and you're able to update it year after year for 50 years, 60 years. When is B-52 going to go out of service? Why take it out of service? B-52 still works.
The B-52 scores brilliantly in all categories. Innovation, high. Fear factor, high. Payload, high. Defensive armament, medium. And service length, beyond rating, which puts the B-52 firmly in first place of our top 10 bombers.